Marketing Kitchen TV Q&A Live. This is where you ask your questions at @MarketingKitchenTV Twitter utilizing the hashtag Q&A, and I will answer your questions right here on YouTube. Welcome, marketing chefs. I've got something truly special cooking in our Omni-Channel oven today. Marketing Kitchen TV Q&A Live, Chapter 8. Up next in the Marketing Kitchen. Welcome to the kitchen, the Marketing Kitchen. Hi, I'm Ron Vining, your host of Marketing Kitchen TV. Marketing Kitchen TV Q&A Live. This is where you ask a question on Twitter with the hashtag Q&A, and I will answer your questions here in the Marketing Kitchen. Welcome to @MarketingKitchenTV Q&A Live. All you need to do is go to @MarketingKitchenTV on Twitter, use the hashtag Q&A, and I will answer your questions here. All right, welcome back to Marketing Kitchen TV Q&A Live. This is Chapter 8 of our 12-part series, and remember, we're going to have a bonus 13th chapter when all is said and done. Our first question today is by Jack, and Jack asks, SEO is a great low-cost method to increase brand popularity. I can't help but notice that @MarketingKitchenTV has grown to over 1.1 thousand subs in just 1.5 years. Have you used any SEM techniques to achieve such an accomplishment? If so, what are your top picks? Well, Jack, I'm blushing. No, all right. And actually not @MarketingKitchenTV Twitter, because we only have, I think, 430 or so followers here. But on YouTube, you're correct. I have 1,130, I believe, subs now. And yeah, I'm quite happy by the fact that that's happened in a short time, 1.5 years. I was actually shocked to learn that only 5% of YouTubers have over 1,000 subscribers. So most of the content that you're watching on YouTube is actually only being generated by 5% of the base there. And of that 5%, actually, I was just astonished. And as I've been going and watching other people's YouTube channels to learn how to be a better YouTuber myself, because this is, of course, something that is new to me, I've just been surprised at how few have reached that 1,000 subscriber milestone. And I don't know if everyone's aware out there, and so thanks for bringing up this topic, Jack. But in order to be monetized on YouTube, you must have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. And those 4,000 watch hours have to be consecutive within a 12-month period. So that's a rolling 12-month period. So you have to maintain that in order to maintain your monetization. So I've not hit that point. It has not been a goal of mine to reach monetization. My initial goal with Marketing Kitchen TV. So if you don't mind, Jack, thanks for asking the question. I'll talk a little bit. When I first started Marketing Kitchen TV, the goal was actually for a client of mine that had smart technology products. So I actually, when I bought my condo here in Singapore, I came up with the idea that I would renovate my condo, and I would involve several partners as part of the renovation. Because, of course, I'm a content marketer and a storyteller, and so I thought about what type of brands would be interested in this. So at that time, HGTV was new to Singapore, so it was a new channel on cable here, and when they were running content, they were only running US content. They did not have international content, and if they did, it was quite weak. The only thing that they had was like international house hunters, and that was, where an individual or family looks for property overseas, and then they show them a couple of properties there, etc. But that was still pretty much Western focused. So I decided to pitch the idea to HGTV and to Samsung, and that what we could do, because I was actually doing a project with SAP that also involved Samsung, and I had had Samsung as a client before. So I come up with the idea that HGTV could actually do an original program where a home, and also at the time Singapore was on a Smart Nation initiative, and the project that I was doing with SAP was around smart technology as well, and that was really about smart retail. But I thought about, why not bring in potentially HGTV, SAP, and Samsung. What we would do is we would fully renovate my condo, we would create a fully smart kitchen, and we would call that the Marketing Kitchen, because what I would do is, as the host of this, so it would be a renovation program that HGTV would need, because again, it was here in the local market, and it would be about sourcing for local products, local contractors, etc., working in the space. And then the Samsung piece is obviously all the appliances and the technology would be provided by Samsung, but it could be powered by an SAP automation tool. So anyway, all of them would be in there. And then I, as the host here in my own Marketing Kitchen, I could utilize the home as a show flat for those brands. And then I would do a weekly, perhaps, or whatever the demand was for, YouTube TV series talking about how to make use of all of the technologies that were there. And then potentially I had also pitched an idea to HGTV about then I could do this at other homes in Singapore or across Southeast Asia as well. Well, things like this take time, and it took because you're probably wondering what happened. Did that ever happen? And the answer is it didn't end up happening. HGTV loved the idea, but HGTV first asked me to wait 3 months, then 6 months, then 12 months. Samsung loved the idea as well, and it had received approvals for everybody in Singapore. And when it got kicked to Korea, actually, I'll be completely honest, somebody in Korea, so in South Korea, where the headquarters is, said, why are we going to pay for the renovation of this guy's home? Because that decision maker did not understand the value of what the YouTube channel could deliver for Samsung. So SAP was on board, HGTV was on board, but they wanted me to wait a year, and then Samsung initially was on board in the local market, but the global office didn't understand the value of having the channel. And what a loss for Samsung, because it would have been, they had just released a professional grade or premium grade smart technology for the kitchen. So smart refrigerator, smart, and I'm pointing to the different things that are here in the kitchen now. It would have been a win-win for everyone. And when it actually had come back from Samsung that, why should we pay for this guy's kitchen? Then I said, okay, fine, don't pay for my kitchen. I've got enough money to cover everything myself. Instead, as a consulting fee, I will charge you for my time as I record the episodes, edit the episodes, produce them, and then air them on YouTube. So I'll charge you from my content marketing and storytelling time as a consultant, my brand advising time. I'll charge you for the partnership that I put together with SAP as well as with HGTV, etc., etc. So when they saw the dollar figure of what that would be as opposed to what it would have been to the home, everybody's tune changed. But at that particular time, I was completely fed up. So I said bye-bye to Samsung, I said bye-bye to HGTV, and SAP remained my client for another project that I was doing, but it didn't make sense for them to be part of this anymore. So anyway, that was why I started MarketingKitchenTV, or actually registered the domain name for MarketingKitchenTV 5 years before I actually started putting content on the channel. And if any of you have watched the Everything You Wanted to Know About Content Marketing and More video, I talk about this a little bit, but I talk about the fact that I regret that when that deal fell through, I didn't immediately start MarketingKitchenTV and then film the renovation and everything that happened while it was going on here. But actually, during that time that I was doing the renovation, I was actually at the height of my public speaking and training career, where I was in a different country, in some cases, 3 days of the week. And so imagine being in 3 different countries in a week, and then coming back to what was the nightmare of the renovation that was happening here in my home. And it became almost unmanageable at one point. But the point is, when you buy a home, you want to renovate it and you want to move in, and you don't want to wait 12 months for that. So while that would have been fantastic, it just didn't work out. I did appreciate, though, that HGTV reached out to me to do something different, but it just didn't, what they had asked me to do just didn't work out with the timing of that either. And the logistics of it just weren't going to be convenient for what I was doing at the time, so that didn't happen. So anyway, I then decided, why not, instead of doing the stuff that we were doing on Blackboard, in particular Blackboard Collaborate for the marketing courses, why not bring that into the Marketing Kitchen and do these Q&A sessions, as well as I thought about the kitchen could be everything but the kitchen sink, right? You've heard that expression before. And so just about everything can happen in a kitchen. So why not use the Marketing Kitchen to talk about marketing, also cook, and you've seen a few of those episodes here, as well as talk about Lego, film, different things of that nature. So anything goes in the kitchen, I thought would be a fun concept, if you will, anyway, to, I guess, brand it or package it, because that's very important today. All right, getting to your specific question, Jack, I hope you appreciated that long history that's there. Thank you so much for asking that question and giving me the opportunity to talk a little bit with you about why I started this, or how it came about, and where we're at today. Yeah, so I'm happy that we've hit the 1,130 or so subs. We are halfway to monetization in terms of watch hours, which I'm excited about that. Especially considering in that year and a half, Jack, I actually wasn't actively posting content. So for example, last year, so the channel, I got the channel started in January of 2019, and then when May 2019 came, I went to the US, and I was there I was there for an extended period of time away from the Marketing Kitchen. I had actually shot background shots as well as cut-ins to be able to do episodes while I was in the US, but then still be here in the kitchen, but I was just too busy. So for May, June, and July, actually May, June, July, it wasn't, I think, until the end of August that I actually put new content on the channel. So I had a big drop-off. And then the channel picked up again in September, and then I decided to really go for things January of 2020. So I'm really happy that things have worked out the way that they are, considering the fact that I've not consistently put content. And for those of you that any social channel, if you want to keep get an audience, so gain an audience or attract an audience, have them actually engage with your content, and then keep them or retain them, you've got to constantly be putting fresh content on the channel. So I found for YouTube, in order to maintain that, you really should post one piece of content per day. But you need to be a full-time YouTuber to make that happen, and I'm not. That's not my intention. And I just thought that this would be a fun way to engage. Though I am trying to be more dedicated to at least post one piece of content every other day, or perhaps 3 days per week. Anyway, I've got a ton of different ideas for what I'd like to do with the channel going forward. So you asked me, is there any SEM techniques that I've used, or any SEO techniques that perhaps I've used to keep things going, and what are my top picks? Well, one of the things I've mentioned before, so I've not hired any expert or so to work with me on this. Of course, I guess I pride myself in knowing how to do a number of these things on my own. though, even though I mentioned in chapter 7, so we're in chapter 8 here, I mentioned in chapter 7 you should get a specialist to help you with SEO. But for YouTube, I've not done that yet. So Jack, what are the things that I've done? Well, I try to use the right amount of, so you can only use 3 hashtags within the video itself that show up. So if you're looking at me right now, depending on whether you're full screen or if you're not full screen and you're just looking at it, so let's say you're on your mobile device and I'm just appearing in the upper left side or just the top of your mobile device. Right below that, if you can see the comments in the description, just at the bottom of the window, you'll see 3 hashtags. That's the maximum you can use there. So, but within the video itself, however, when you're setting up the video, you can use 500 characters worth of hashtags. I make sure that I use all 500 of those characters of hashtags. How many hashtags it depends upon how long of the string. But I have some general ones that I use for every video. For Lego videos, I have a specific set, and then I will add in one specific to that video. For these marketing Q&A episodes, I have a specific set of hashtags that I use, and then the same hashtags based upon the 4 questions that I answer will be part of that. They also make up the 3 key hashtags that I'll use specific for that video. So those are some of the SEO techniques that I use. As far as the SEM techniques that go, the lock screen, or not the lock screen, the thumbnail is a key to this. And I know that my thumbnails are probably not the best, and they're not the best. Some of the best thumbnails I see are the ones where people use clickbait, where they have perhaps their picture very small on the screen, and then 3/4 of the screen is a brand. It's a film title, let's say, take for example, sorry I keep scratching my nose, must be pollen or something. Okay, I gotta stop that. Every time I see myself do that on the screen, I'm thinking, what's the audience thinking as he scratches his nose? Yeah, the thumbnail. The thumbnail, for, let's say, for my iPad video, if any of you have seen where I did the review of the iPad Pro, other people who've done the review of the iPad Pro, the entire screen is the iPad Pro, and then they're just in the corner. As opposed for mine, I'm always in the kitchen, I'm always sort of holding what I'm talking about, or I have it off to the side or wherever. And yeah, I don't know, it's just preference. But I do know that mine are not the best, but that is one of the best tactics, Jack, to get people to click. So what have I done as far as SEM? I created an Instagram feed. I, of course, have the Twitter, so an Instagram account rather. I have a Twitter account. I have a Facebook page. I have a number of social media platforms that are called MarketingKitchenTV. Also, I have for YouTube, I've got the company page for this, and I also have a group for it as well. So what I'll do, Jack, is that after I record each video and I edit it and then I post it to YouTube, not only do I do all of those SEO tactics of using the hashtags, etc., and the text that I use, terms that I use in the video itself, because actually YouTube, I don't know if you're aware, not only do they look at the text in your description, the hashtag that you use, but actually the words that you say. There's a couple of channels where you'll see that when the speaker starts talking on the YouTube channel, they in a row will immediately say a ton of terms. And let's say that I was doing a review of a Star Wars film. One of the things that you would want to, if you wanted to be successful, you would hear the following. Today is a review of Star Wars episode, do a mental brain freeze. All right, today is a review of Star Wars episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, by Lucasfilm, now owned by Disney, directed by Irving Kershner, written by George Lucas, and Larry Kasdan, and starring Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, Harrison Ford as Han Solo, Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian, etc., etc. So if you said all of those things in the video, Google picks that up in its search because they're also doing an audio search. Google is always looking in this particular case to make sure that the content that's being said in the video matches up to what's being written about the video. And that'll help the video to be promoted on the channel. So what I do though is that for every video that I create an Instagram post for it, I create a tweet, I create one for Line, for WeChat, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And of course I utilize the nuance of every one of those channels for how I promote it. So those are my SEM techniques. And I got to tell you, to be honest with you, how I got over the 1,000 subscriber threshold, Jack, was that I went onto Facebook and I made a plea to my family and friends to please make sure that they liked and some of the videos and that they subscribed to the channel. And that was actually when I did that, because the channel really wasn't growing. And oh, by the way, YouTube constantly, just like other platforms, they shed the amount of subscribers or followers or friends that you have all the time. And so if anybody's not active or hasn't read or looked or viewed the content in some time, they'll actually remove you, which and Twitter does this all the time. YouTube has done this as well. Their algorithms are, when they're looking for bots, actually really get rid of real people. So anyway, when things were not moving, I went on to I made my urgent plea on Facebook, and my family and friends came through for me. And of course, you'll see that a number of my videos, and even in this video at the beginning, well actually at the end, I say please make sure, and I point down to like and subscribe. It's very important to do that, and obviously to share, because you want to grow your audience, and your audience does not grow unless you're out into other avenues. So one of the things I'm going to do, Jack, to push this channel, because I figure if I'm going to be expending as much time that I do, like I'm going to spend an entire day today to record these 7 episodes. And then it's going to take me half a day to, even though these are live sort of in the kitchen videos, it's still going to take me almost a half a day to edit each of those 7, as well as then write the description, use the right hashtags, write the tweet, write the LinkedIn share, all of the different components to that. So that's then going to take me another 3 or 4 days on top of today. So if I'm going to take the time to continue to do this, then what I'm going to do starting in July and or August, I'm going to start running YouTube ads, encouraging people to click to watch Marketing Kitchen TV. So I will target people who are Lego fans, I will target people who are probably Star Wars, Marvel, Star Trek fans, maybe people who are interested in music, because I plan to start doing some more music reviews, maybe people interested in some home recipes, but certainly people interested in educational marketing content or how-to marketing content, and see how that goes, because that would, you really want to, so if you keep fishing in the same barrel, then you're eventually going to get all the fish, or the fish are going to get smart and not bite on your hook anymore. So you always have to find new barrels, new ponds, new oceans to fish into if you want to get new subscribers, more people engaging, liking, sharing, etc. your content. Wow, that took a long time to answer that one, Jack, but hopefully that everyone found that useful, not just talking about what I'm doing here, but how they could apply that for themselves. And I encourage any and all of you, do not wait. If you're thinking about wanting to get into this space or being an Instagram influencer, I mean, I hate that term influencer, because I certainly don't see myself as that. I just see myself as a content creator. I'm just having fun right now. I'll be completely honest with you that most of the content marketing that I do for my own brands is useless. It does not draw in new business. And the reason why is because I believe in pure content marketing. Pure content marketing is where you're just sharing content to share content. It's about brand awareness. I've never pitched. Well, okay, maybe once in a while, but very, very rarely do I ever do that. And I certainly never do a hard sell, and I never do a hard pitch. And you know what? If you don't do that in content marketing, then it's just a branding exercise. You must try to close the deal. All right, Jack, too much time I've spent here, but great question. So many more areas that I could talk about related to that. And that was just question 1. This is like a whole episode right here. Okay, let's go to the next question. Great one there, Jack. Thank you. I appreciate that. Next. All right. Rommel, I believe. Hopefully I said that correctly. An investment in an email service provider is what an ESP is. So an investment in an email service provider is one of the best that a marketing team can do. True. What are some tricks that marketers should keep in mind while designing emails to be sent out? Well, I read your LinkedIn post as well as your engagement with Tam on this particular one, and I found it to be quite fascinating. In fact, all of the LinkedIn discussions that I had looked at the other day related to EDMs, so electronic direct mail, were fantastic. And I've actually written several series that you can find on LinkedIn. So if you just look at the hashtag Learnomies, all of my posts, so if you just search Learnomies on LinkedIn, you'll be able to see all of the posts that we do. So we used to do posts 24 hours a day. We now just do 12 posts per day on LinkedIn. And I've done a number related to that. So what are some of the tricks? Well, you've said the first trick. The first trick is to hide. The first trick is to hire an expert. So just as you should hire an SEO expert to do your search engine optimization, you should hire an expert in, legs are getting tired there, in one spot. You should hire an expert in email marketing. The same thing is true in doing direct mail. So when I used to run political campaigns, one of the things we would do, and an old great friend of mine, she probably doesn't watch these videos, but if somebody does, let her know that I mentioned her, but an old friend of mine, Holly Robichaud, and she owns a company called Tuesday Associates, and I co-founded that with her, or she started the company, but then the two of us together really launched that. And the reason why it's called Tuesday Associates, by the way, is the fact that elections in the US are always held on Tuesday. So anyway, Holly prides herself in being a direct mail expert. So if I were ever going to do a political campaign, I would hire somebody like Holly because she knows how to do direct mail. The same thing is true with an email service provider. You would want to hire somebody that does nothing but that. It's the same thing is true when you're building a website today, or you're building an application. Should you build all of the features of that website or your application? The answer is no. Why? Because with APIs, there are people who have developed things specific. So you wouldn't want to build your own CRM. You would want to use somebody that does nothing but build CRMs all the time, and then take their mobile CRM perhaps and put it in your app or on your website, etc. If a sign-in form, you would want to use somebody that does nothing but build the very best sign-in form. Same thing is true with email. All right, what are some tricks that marketers should keep in mind when designing emails? Well, there are too many really to mention here, especially since I took up so much time talking with Jack about YouTube and how that all works. But of course, the tricks really come into the fact of how you have optimized the space that you have provided there. Obviously, you would want to be sending out emails that are directly to an individual, so you'd not see marketing list 105. You would not want to receive an email where they had sent one to Ron Vining, Ronald Vining, Ronald Bubba, Ron. I mean, what? Like, you know that you're getting a spam, so you would be directed specifically to you. Nothing's in CC, nothing's in BCC. You certainly want to make sure that there's a subject line there and it doesn't have forward at it. So the subject line is a clear, catchy headline. And then when you get to the construction of the email itself, what is in there? How is it constructed? Is it in HTML? Is it text? Is it been filtered out by one spam filter, or is it coming in as a regular email? the time of day that the email arrives. So the day of the week and the time of day, those are all factors that are involved in the construction of the email. And then when it comes to the content, is it text heavy? Is it light on text? Does it have a cool graphic? Does it have a video? Is there an attachment? No-nos. You don't want to do attachments. So those are just some of the things that you would want to do. But the articles that you, I believe this article that you have attached was specific about an ESP, but there's a number that you can find that have been reshared here on our companion Twitter feed that give you a number of tips and tricks beyond what I've just said there. But it's just really about how it's sent to the person, when it's sent to the person, the catchiness of the headline, and so that subject, it needs to be click-worthy, of relevance, of value, of interest, not look like spam, and of course what is in the email and how that is constructed. And as I was just mentioning before about why content marketing could not be successful, an EDM that does not have a clear purpose to it will not be successful. So you want to make sure that you have a clear close of some kind in there. Or whatever it is, you really need to tell people what you want them to do with the content that you're giving them. And that's quite critical. All right, great question. Hopefully I answered that for you. All right, thanks a lot. Next up, our third question today. Alzan asks, email marketing is growing with technology. Businesses are making use of mobile-friendly ads, personalized content, and segmentation to attract customers. Do you think that eventually marketing will only be conducted through the use of new technology? And this goes back to chapter 7, where I was asked the question about social media advertising as opposed to other forms of advertising. And the answer is, so answering this second, I guess first is set up, the other piece is the question. So to answer this question right here, do you think that eventually marketing will only be conducted through the use of new technology? The answer is no, I do not. I believe, especially today, when you are getting I'm getting so many unsolicited pitches on LinkedIn that I don't even bother to look at it anymore. So one of my team members who manages my LinkedIn for me, she looks at it exclusively. I would not even waste my time looking until she highlights to me, here's something that I should look at. Which is a shame, because I used to enjoy engaging with everybody who I would connect with on LinkedIn personally. I won't do that now until she says to me, here's somebody you should chat with. It's still a fantastic tool, by the way. Like, I just connected with somebody, I won't tell you whether it was the NFL, NBA, or NHL, or MLB. It was one of those four, but this was really cool about something I want to do with Appflix. And I had actually reached out to that person from one of those major sports organizations there. And through LinkedIn, we started chatting with each other, and he did me a solid, all right, whatever expression you want to use. And so I'm looking forward to doing something with that sports organization once Appflix is ready to go. So quite excited. So the platform is still good for that. And so do I think that everything will be utilizing new technology? No, I don't. I think that, again, I want everyone to be in the mindset that digital is just one of the tools in the marketing toolkit. Social is one of the channels that one can use. Mobile is one of the channels, but they're not the only ones, and they shouldn't be. It needs to be an omni-channel approach. Again, I'll go back to what I always say. You have your business here, you have your customer here, you have the channel in between. And across the channel is where you produce your message. Through this channel is how you get feedback or a conversion or a transaction from the customer. This engagement across the channel is really based upon what works best for the brand and what works best for the consumer. You don't want to utilize channels that your brand is not going to be successful on, and you don't want to use channels that the customer is not going to be interested in transacting or engaging with you across. So it's about finding that sweet spot about what is the right channel what is the right content, what is the right time and place to do that? And so that's just a key piece. That's a great question. I hope that I covered that one for you. And our final question for Chapter 8 today is by Christine. And Christine asks, as companies' marketing functions develop, why not create more marketing campaign engagement, forums, or social media channels to engage with customers during times like the current situation that we're in? Why not create more marketing campaign engagement, forums, or social media channels? Well, I'll tell you the reason why. Now, my brands, and I'm not pitching my brands to anybody right now, but you can see what they are. But I primarily have about 10 different brands that I do different work underneath or as. And each of those 10 brands have about 10 to 15 social media channels attached to them. So that could be multiple Twitter feeds, that could be a YouTube, that could be Instagram, that could be Facebook, it could be LinkedIn, it could be Pinterest, WeChat, Line, okay? So I've got a number of social media channels, forums, groups that can engage specific to those audiences or customers or fans or whatever it is that you want to call it. Now, this is a double-edged sword, and I'll tell you why, Christine. You want to be very careful not to have too many forums, channels, avenues to have engagement unless you've got a team who can take the time to constantly be creating relevant content that is posted to each of those channels at the right time of day with the most relevant content that is able to engage with whoever wants to engage back to you on those channels. In other words, you don't want them to go stagnant. I guess, Christine, the way to think about it this way is when you turn on, let's say in Massachusetts, you have Xfinity as your content, as your cable provider, potentially. Now, you've got a number of different a la carte channels to choose from, and every single one of those channels, I want you to think about each of those channels as one of these forums or groups or pages, whatever it might be, on social media. Each one of these channels on your cable platform is airing new content or repeat content 24 hours a day in most cases. There was a time when, channels would go off air. There was a time when programming had stopped. There was a time when they would just be infomercials and some sketchy other 900 numbers that you could call. Those days, some channels still do things of that nature, but for the most part, channels have content running 24 hours a day. You have to think about your social media in the same way that a producer would think about their cable channel. There needs to be either new or relevant refresh or repeat of content 24 hours a day to keep a customer engaged. Because if you turn on a particular channel, you want to see a specific type of content. If I turn on a sports channel, I'm expecting to see sports, not an infomercial about, what's that one about, I forgot the name there. It's the one where they cut the boat in half and they put that tape on the boat and then they take the boat out into the sea? What? Okay, anyway. You want to make sure that if you're turning on a sci-fi channel, you're watching sci-fi content. If you're turning on Lifetime, you're getting one of those crazy soap opera-like films. If you want a sports channel, it's going to be sports content, etc. The same thing is true for your social. So not only do you have to have content on there almost 24/7 that is new, whenever you're doing reruns, it should be the best of your content. You want to make sure that it is relevant and that it is engaging and that it is appropriate for who's tuning in at that particular time. So yeah, it is important too, especially in times when customers are engaging more on social. You want to make sure that you have the resources to make sure that you are putting the right content out on the right time on the right channel. and you don't want to overdo it or stretch yourself too much. And in many cases, that's what I've done for some of my brands, but a number of them I'm just sort of staking the place until it's time to utilize them. Because you don't want somebody to take up your name or create a group in that name. So you kind of want to reserve the space, but if that's the case, you want to put a notice on there that we'll be doing something with this content in the near future. Please go to our Facebook page to see X content, etc. Anyway, hope I covered that question for you. All right, I believe that was our 4 questions for Chapter 8. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I look forward to taking on the next question from Andrea in our Chapter 9. All right, see you in our next episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Marketing Kitchen TV Live. This is where you ask your questions on Twitter at MarketingKitchenTV utilizing the hashtag Q&A, and I answer your questions right here in the Marketing Kitchen. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, there's always fresh content simmering on our storytelling stovetop, so whatever happens in this kitchen shouldn't stay in this Marketing Kitchen. I'm Ron Vining, your host, reminding you to invite your family and friends to the next episode of Marketing Kitchen TV.